Little Joe. This was not an orbital rocket, but a small, crucial test vehicle for the Mercury program. Its primary purpose was to test Mercury's launch escape system, and it was also used in capsule qualification work, including heat shield testing. The Little Joe was a simple, cheap, solid-fuel rocket used to push Mercury capsules to high altitudes and speeds to prove the escape system would work under the most challenging conditions. Little Joe 2. The bigger, more powerful successor to the original, the Little Joe 2 was developed for the Apollo program. It had the same fundamental job, to test the launch escape system, but because the Apollo command module was much larger and heavier than the Mercury capsule, it required a significantly more powerful test rocket. Little Joe 2 flew 5 times. 4 flights were fully successful, and 1 was a partial failure, but the program still validated Apollo's launch escape and abort recovery systems. Scout. The Scout was NASA's small satellite workhorse for more than 3 decades. A relatively small, low-cost, 4-stage solid-fuel rocket, it was the reliable pickup truck of the NASA fleet. It was designed to provide affordable and frequent access to orbit for small scientific, technological, and exploratory satellites. From the 1960s to the 1990s, the Scout program launched over 100 missions, becoming one of the most reliable and long-serving launch vehicles in American history. Saturn I. This was the first step in building the moon rocket. The Saturn I was the original early version of the Saturn family, visually distinct with its massive first stage made from a cluster of Redstone and Jupiter rocket tanks. Its primary purpose was to test the powerful new hydrogen-fueled upper stages and to launch boilerplate test versions of the Apollo command and service modules into Earth orbit, proving the foundational concepts for its much larger successors. Saturn IB, the upgraded, more powerful version of the Saturn I. The Saturn IB featured a more powerful second stage, which made it capable of launching a fully loaded Apollo command module with a crew into low Earth orbit. It became a crucial vehicle for the program, launching the first ever crewed Apollo mission, Apollo 7. After the moon landings, the reliable Saturn IB was brought back into service to launch all 3 crews to the Skylab space station. Saturn V. The Saturn V was, and remains, the tallest and heaviest rocket ever successfully flown, and it's among the most powerful ever to fly. This 3-stage super heavy lift vehicle was designed with a single purpose: to send American astronauts to the moon. Every one of its 13 flights, from its uncrewed tests to the Apollo missions and the launch of the Skylab space station, was a perfect success. The Saturn V is a monumental icon of human achievement and the undisputed king of rockets. Space Shuttle. This was not just a rocket, but a complex, integrated launch system, the first reusable spacecraft to carry humans into orbit. The system consisted of 3 main components: the orbiter with its powerful main engines, the giant orange external tank that fed them, and the 2 solid rocket boosters that provided the primary liftoff thrust. For 30 years, the shuttle was a versatile space truck, deploying and repairing satellites like Hubble, performing cutting-edge science, and serving as the primary construction vehicle for the International Space Station. Ares 1. This was the crew launcher of the canceled Constellation program, designed to be the successor to the Space Shuttle. Nicknamed the Stick, Ares 1 was a tall, thin rocket intended to launch only the Orion crew capsule. The design was focused on crew safety, separating the astronauts from the cargo missions. However, the program faced significant technical challenges, including concerns about vibrations during launch, and was ultimately canceled along with its larger sibling. Ares 5, the planned cargo-hauling behemoth of the Constellation program. The Ares 5 was designed to be a super heavy-lift rocket on the scale of the Saturn V. Its sole purpose was to launch the heavy hardware needed for a lunar mission, specifically the Altair lunar lander. The mission architecture called for 2 separate launches. An Ares 1 would launch the crew, and an Ares 5 would launch the lander, with the two vehicles meeting and docking in Earth orbit before heading to the Moon. SLS. NASA's modern moon rocket, the SLS, is the foundational vehicle for the Artemis program. With about 8.8 million pounds of liftoff thrust, SLS is NASA's most powerful rocket ever, using RS-25 engines derived from the Space Shuttle and 5-segment solid boosters evolved from Shuttle SRBs. Its primary job is to launch the Orion crew capsule on missions to the Moon, returning super heavy lift capability to NASA and making it the cornerstone of humanity's return to deep space. Thanks for watching. Which NASA rocket do you think had the biggest impact on space exploration? Let me know in the comments. Also, please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.